In this modern world of information, we are more connected than we ever have been, where people take photos of their meals instead of simply enjoying them. They sacrifice the moment to show just how good a life can be, which makes it easier for us to compare ourselves to someone else and their life, their appearance, achievements, to see their success, and notice your failure and your sad, pathetic life. Comparison is the thief of joy. This story begins by changing perspectives. We find out that boxing matches for the Champions Carnival are coming about, and interestingly, places a focus on one of the side characters. Kimura Tasuyama will have his first championship match versus the junior lightweight champion, Ryo Mashiba. Kimura is highlighting the things he doesn't like about himself. His lack of a national title, like Ippo and Takamura. That's the only thing on his mind. People who do. And because of that, all he can really think about are people who are better than him. Ippo in particular. He's an upstart and only started boxing. Kimura has been boxing professionally for 5 years, and he hasn't achieved the same level of success as Ippo, despite that. Oftentimes your brain doesn't show you reality. It shows you what supports your beliefs, whether that's an optical illusion or in this case, a realistic perception of oneself. The brain takes shortcuts in order to understand things, and because of that, they give you blind spots. This is the danger of comparison. Your brain doesn't let you think about how other people might be lacking in their lives, like Takamura's overall personality or Ippo's naivety. This is never a good way to think. Although everyone around him knows he's a great boxer, that's not what he's seeing. The only way for someone to get out of this mindset is for them to catch themselves doing it and then act upon a positive change. Kimura is a character that has displayed the fact that he is strong of mind, often acting as an analyst during previous fights. He's no idiot. He knows he has to change. Training at his gym and sparring with Aoki is not going to be enough this time. In his current state, he can't beat Mashiba. He needs to find someone who can.
ここに来れば会えると思ったぜ。頼みがある。俺に力を貸してくれ。
Kimura begs Miyata to help him. Miyata, being a young prodigy, has insight that Kimura doesn't. This is the one thing that might be able to help Kimura change and win the national title. Miyata refuses the request for a sparring match. He doesn't see any weakness in Kimura. He is a great boxer. Kimura then expresses his fears. It turns out that the first and second seat boxers ran away from this match, and he wants to run too. But in the 5 years that he's been boxing, this is his first chance to get the title match. And if he runs, he might never get another chance. Miyata again turns him down and continues his ward work. He chases Miyata down and continues to plead until they come across a group of thugs. This pulls Kimura out of this desperate state he's been in, and he calmly asks Miyata what he thinks when he looks at the group. He then opens up about himself and Aoki. They used to be just like them, doing nothing with their lives. That was until boxing. His records might not always have been great, but he always tries his best. Boxing has been life-changing for him. He finally has something to be proud of. He then turns to leave, content with Miyata's initial response. But Miyata stops him, saying that he has a title match of his own coming up, and his opponent has a very similar fighting style to Kimura. It would be helpful if he came round to his gym tomorrow for a spar. Kimura's game plan is to watch as an outboxer, take all of Miyata's movements as a reference, and then use them to seal Mashiba's flicker jab. But it won't work. The flicker jab is just that, a jab. And sealing off a jab is just an impossible task. Then Miyata states that Kimura has one fatal weakness, going against what he said earlier in the story. And in this spar, he intends to show it to him. This statement affects Kimura because it goes against everything that Miyata has said to him before. They're both outboxers and are going blow for blow, seemingly on an even fight. But then it takes a swift turn. Miyata pushes into an infighting position, and with 2 swift blows, knocks Kimura out. Kimura then awakens. Miyata states that he has no weaknesses, but he has no strengths. With a boxer who lacks a KO pattern, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. Over the next week, they continue to spar, and each time it ends in the same way. Kimura then watches one of Mashiba's recent matches on videotape, supplied to him by Ippo and Aoki. Initially, he has no comment. Mashiba's overall fighting style has not changed at all, but the extra weight he has gained is going to put more strength into those punches. Mashiba has an outboxer fighting style just like him. What do all outboxers hate? And he has the answer. Because of his sparring matches with Miyata, Kimura needs to take up infighting. Now, if you've watched or read Ippo, you know this training routine. This is a personal highlight for me. It's such a soft spot for nostalgia. With another week gone by, he's actually become quite a capable infighter, but he still has his overwhelming weakness. He lacks a KO pattern. With no progress, Kimura is in danger of falling back into this unmotivated state, and this strain comes out in anger. This section of the story is the downtime of the story. It's the lowest point of stress. These times may be considered boring. Within the confines of the story and real life, it's really important to just remember progress, no matter how slow, is still progress in the right direction. Much like in reality, a journey of self-improvement has these moments. No matter what it is, whether it's a plateau in your weight loss journey or struggling for weeks to beat your gym PR, the rule is universally true. That being said, it's also the easiest part of this improvement to give up. It's the point in the journey where your lack of change and development will demotivate you, making you more mentally weak. This is the moment where the real battle is found, and we soon see from Kimura that at least for him, this will pay off. He knows he succeeded in becoming a capable infighter, but feels stupid for not realizing that he has nothing to finish Mashiba with. He's wasting his time he doesn't have to spare. He tries to calm himself down and come up with Mashiba's weak spot, his jaw, obviously. He stops himself from getting worked up again, and he decides to feed his fish to calm himself. His fish leaps out. This sparks inspiration. This is that key moment. Kimura's movement of change, where he stops letting other people control his actions, when his view switches from a harmful external view of comparison to one of pure improvement to one goal. Kimura has gone missing, and Ippo and Aoki go out looking for him. They find a tire that shows Kimura's progress in developing his weapon. One that Ippo can tell is a body blow, and the other, the guys can't quite decipher. And that's when we hard cut to a calm, determined Kimura come to Miyata's doors to test his new weapon. Quick aside, I love the imagery. Miyata, when Kimura was at his lowest coming for help, was wearing full black. And now that Kimura has this newfound confidence and changed mindset, they switch. This is a subtle way to show the change in mindset. I love the subtle storytelling. They hop in the ring, and just as fast as it begins, it's over. Kimura is the one on the floor. He's disappointed that he has taken a counter hit, but that was no counter hit. It was a lucky punch, and no one could see that blow coming. With a little more polish, Miyata wouldn't have beaten him, and it sure as hell would beat Mashiba. It's great to see Kimura in this new state of confidence. Like an artisan painter finishing his masterwork, Kimura has come up with a devastating weapon. And due to this journey, he's not only been able to better himself as a boxer, but with this newfound confidence too. We see this come into play when Takamura is teasing him over the poster. The poster predicts Kimura facing off against an executioner with no hope of winning, something that the usual hot-headed Kimura would have raged out about earlier, but he simply states, "I was wondering why he took so many pictures of my back." And we know this is a pretty drastic change, not only because we've seen comparisons to this earlier in this story, but also because of the reaction of the other characters. And then he shows us this devastating weapon. He stops his opponent with a strong left body blow, and then when their attention is drawn down, he swings with an invisible high right. He has developed a punch that can hit even Mashiba's jaw. The day of the title match is here, and Kimura is in his waiting room, not only suffering the stress of said title match, but also that of the decision he has just made. He tells the rest of the cast that if he loses this match, he's going to retire from boxing. As he leaves his waiting room, Takamura, of all people, has some advice. Stepping into that championship ring, it's like being a rookie all over again. This is the first genuine moment between the two characters in the story so far. Takamura has been trying, in some way at least, to help Kimura throughout this story, but it's only ever come out in half-assed comments about the danger of Mashiba's long reach. That being said, this does give Kimura some much needed confidence as he walks towards the ring with a newfound determination. Before the match, all focus is on Mashiba as he enters, except for his opponent. Kimura is only seeing one thing, the belt around his waist. The goal, the reason why he's done everything he's done to this date, is within reach. Mashiba is keeping Kimura at a distance with his flicker jab, all the while beating Kimura into the ropes. Despite his training with Miyata, he is getting pummeled, and by the end of the round, he looks like this. Lacerations covering his entire face, but he still stands strong. However, this continues for 6 full rounds, and at this point, Kimura's legs begin to shake. Then soon after, he hits the mat for the first time. We know this hit Kimura hard, as Aoki has to remind him to put back in his gum shield before the next round. There's not much hope for this challenger, that is, of course, until his work finally pays off. Mashiba is clenching. He's become helpless in this fight. The belt is closer than ever. The 9th round is an even run thing. Both fighters are going blow for blow until the final trade, where Takamura's advice rings true. Mashiba and Kimura both go in for a right hook, but Mashiba's reach grants him the stronger punch, knocking Kimura to the mat. His coach begins to throw in the towel to stop Kimura from suffering any longer, and despite Aoki's pleas, he decides to go through with it, but not before Kimura can stand up. And after the ref checks him out, he starts the match again. Both fighters step towards each other, about to trade the exact same way all over again. Unfortunately, the ref steps in. He needs to check Kimura again, and he finds out Kimura is unconscious while standing up, fighting to the very end, and then even some after.
Kimura! もういいんだ。終わったんだ。よくやったぞ。終わった。What the?
In the aftermath of the match, Kimura seems to be doing quite well, accepting the situation and officially retiring. As he reflects on the match, lying down beside a river, he thinks how close he came if there was 10 centimeters more in that punch. No, 3. He would have won. He's going to be filled with regret of that moment for the rest of his life. He then retcons his own retirement, showing up to the gym as if nothing happened. And then, in terms of the long-term scale of the story, it's back to normal. I loved the themes in this story. It's covered in the OVA, but I read the manga for this. The OVA is great, but it didn't do what was in the manga justice. The manga portrays a Kimura who is overly insecure and incredibly frustrated with his lack of development. Even though he works as hard as he possibly can, he isn't making the cut. And I feel like this is true of most people in real life. People try so hard and all they can do is compare themselves to other people and their achievements. An incredibly unhealthy way of thinking, and we've all been there. But what I love about the character is he doesn't make excuses. He does everything he possibly can to achieve his goal. He doesn't let his depression take hold of him. A truly inspirational story.